God is leading this podcast in a slightly different direction, so stay tuned as we introduce a new topic and what God has laid on each one of our hearts.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Shieldmaidens podcast. This is the place where we hope you'll come to be raised up to be a warrior for Christ while also learning how to fight back against the enemy. And the whole time we really just want to point you to Jesus. I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Riley.
We're your hosts. We're glad that you're here today. Thanks for taking some time out of your day to listen in once again. I'm going to remind you, if you're watching on YouTube, please go ahead and subscribe, share, like, leave us a comment. That would be wonderful. Or if you're listening on the audio only version, go ahead and leave us a review. I don't think we have any reviews yet.
We actually have 2.
Oh, never mind. Wrong.
I looked yesterday.
I haven't seen it.
We'll always take more.
Yeah, we'd love to have your reviews because it'll help spread what we're doing. So anyway, enough with that. We're going to move on to the fun stuff. It's just Riley and I today.
It is.
Obviously, you can tell, like, we don't have any friends with us. Sad, but also it's
okay. It'll be fun anyway.
It'll be, yes. We do this like on the regular. We sit and talk.
Yeah.
I come to her house and talk for 2 hours and she just listens to me. So
it's not true. I mean, the 2 hours part is true.
The 2 hours is true. But we thought we'd do a little solo episode and kind of share with you what's on our hearts and maybe where we're heading a little bit. And
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, what God has laid on our hearts to push the podcast in a slightly different direction. It's not that we're changing much of anything.
Right.
It's just that I think he's calling us to be a little more bold. And I think I knew it for the first time when a couple months ago, you had said in some of our intros, just like you said today, let's get this part over with and let's get to the fun stuff.
Get to the fun stuff.
And in my heart, it was like, but no, that's the whole point. If you don't like our videos, if you don't comment on our videos, if you don't subscribe, it tells the algorithm that nobody really likes this. And so, man, if you're not subscribed, which we see you, we can see those numbers. What are you doing? Because your subscription is free. It takes one click of a button. But man, it pushes the message of Christ out to that many more people. So if you want to help further the kingdom like we're trying to do, hit the button. It's not that hard.
And even if you are someone who's listening on the audio versions, and that's how you like to listen, because there are people who do that. I listen to a lot of podcasts that way. It would still be beneficial for us if you would go to YouTube and subscribe, even if you're not going to be watching there. And don't be worried about leaving comments. I've had a couple people be like, I was going to leave a comment and then I didn't want to because I just feel weird. And no, we'd love
even if it's just
your
an emoji,
feedback, even
fine.
an emoji.
Yeah.
We'd love feedback. We'd love to hear topics that you would like addressed.
For sure.
Anything.
Or if you have a prayer request, we totally check those messages. So we will be happy to pray with you.
We legitimately do check them. And
Yes,
I'm sorry if I'm the one who said like, hey, let's just get on to the fun stuff.
Oh, I wasn't blaming you.
I know you didn't.
It's just
I know you didn't.
What started stirring it in my heart. And then like slowly as time progressed, I went to Arizona with my husband a little bit ago. And I was actually wearing this shirt through the airport.
I love, and it is so cute.
Thank you. It was my little trick of if somebody was going to say something about my shirt, I was going to hand them a card.
Oh,
like
Riley's so good.
You like
about
my shirt? I think you'll like this better.
Our business cards.
So I did. I handed out a whole bunch of cards in the airports. But what I noticed more than that was that people were surprised that I was wearing. Like you could see on their faces, like, oh. And I know it's neon and it's bright and it so says cute. Jesus loves you. But I was just like, man, why are people so scared to rep the name of Christ? And again, that stirred in my heart. Like, I'm going to need you to stop being a cupcake Christian. Like, everything's perfect and sweet and little cherry on top and all confined into this one little muffin tin. Because that's not what I've called you to be. I mean, Christ wasn't sweet always.
He was flipping some tables a couple of times. Yeah.
And we have enemies out there that are calculated and they will make moves based on what they know about you. And boy, they've done their homework. And so I just feel like, and I know that we've talked about this too, that God is calling us to tougher subjects and harder questions and things that people might not have thought about very often or might struggle with doubting, because I mean, we're not perfect. We have doubts for sure.
Absolutely.
We talk about them all the time.
Yep.
So yeah.
I love it. We were really on the same page. You brought it up to me, but I had already been thinking that, even from the get-go of doing this. Like, I had part of me that was like, oh, we should be funnier and lighter. And then part of me that was like, no, we need to go deeper. There is a lot of, and I know that's what God's calling me to. I told her this when we started, that I'm praying for boldness. And that's kind of dangerous to pray that.
You got to really mean it.
I know, because I don't feel very bold most of the time, which bothers me because I know what God has done in my life. So why am I not?
Right.
Like, why would I not want to share that with every single person I encounter?
Right. Because it's a life or death situation.
Like, it literally is. And so when you brought it up, like, hey, maybe we should go deeper, I'm like, yes, I know the things that resonate with me are not just like a surface level polished thing. And I get it that people are at all different levels in their walk with God, and we all need different things. But again, we both just feel called to push a little deeper on some things and dig into some conversations that might challenge you.
Yeah. Well,
might challenge me.
I was going to say, it's as challenging for us
it is
as it is
challenging for us.
For anyone listening.
Yeah.
Because some of the things, like if God brings it up in a big way, like he did with that reel in the past where, you know, we asked, or my daughter asked the question, does God love Satan? That is not a question that either one of us had ever thought of before. Never thought about it. Like, never crossed our mind. And then it blew up and we did another episode and it turned out awesome. But in those ways, God's highlighting to us very strongly what he wants us to talk about. And so we're just going to follow his lead.
Yep.
Scary or not.
Yes, scary or not. And there may be some things, again, like that challenge you, that will challenge us, that you don't agree with or do agree with. And that's okay. My hope is that anything that we talk about will push you closer to Jesus, like closer to him, to seeking his face, digging into his word, because that's what matters. It doesn't matter what Lindsay thinks, what Riley thinks. No. It doesn't matter. It's the truth of who God is and what he says. And so we just want to help facilitate, maybe push you into that. So we've got some topics lined up.
Yeah. We're excited about the
that
next
few. They are going to be exciting to talk about.
I think so.
And maybe a little challenging, even for me, as I've thought through some of the things. But, and one of the first things that we're going to talk about, we're going to do kind of a little mini series starting today, but miracles, and does God still do them? Now I feel like there's a lot of people who are like, yeah, of course, God does miracles, but not to me. Like, yeah, we sing the song, like, yeah, he's a way maker. He's a miracle worker, but like, you know, he already did the main miracle. Like, he raised Jesus from the dead. Absolutely. However, Jesus is alive. We have a living God, and he is involved in our daily lives. He wants to be. And I do believe that he still does miracles, little and big.
Yeah, he does.
All the time. So we're going to dive into a few stories and conversations with some people that we have. And I know someone sitting right across from me that has her own miracle story. I don't know if she feels like sharing any of that. But because I don't know all of it either. I know bits and pieces, but
have you never heard it?
Not the whole story.
Well,
so if you want to share and start us off with, to start our little tiny miracle series. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not, I don't think it's a super long story, but I guess I've never told it on a podcast. So we'll see where this goes. In 1998. So when I was, an infant.
An infant. She was a newborn on a bicycle.
No. Well, actually, I think this starts 5 years earlier than that. So it had been around 92, 93.
Okay.
I don't know. I was very little then.
Right.
But my grandfather was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease, so ALS. And he participated in a study in St. Louis that allowed him to live much longer than the normal ALS patient, which I was thankful for. It meant that I got to know him, and he was a really cool guy. He was like the foundation of our family biblically, and he was so strong and well-loved by everybody in our community. So, progress happened, and it started in his big toe and then went up his leg and went down the other leg. And I remember seeing my grandpa walk with a cane for the first time, and then go to a wheelchair, and then they had to put this little seat in the basement staircase so that he can get down and play with us. And he was a strong man for sure, and he stayed strong mentally until the end. But in 1998, in May, he passed. And I was 9 when that happened, and he lived right next door. So it was really close. And I was at school, and I remember Mom came and picked me up from school that day and told me what happened. And we went home to be with Dad and the rest of the family. It was almost towards the end of school where summer was starting. I think it was May 18th that he passed away. And it was chaos for a little while. We went to the funeral, which was, like I said, he was very well loved. And so that was the longest, line of people. Because he wasn't that old. I mean, he was, I think, in his 60s.
Oh, not old.
Yeah, he was 1936 to 98. So, yeah, math. Math is hard. So 62.
62.
Yeah. So doing 62 years old.
That's my parents' age. Wow.
I know, right? And so I remember that the visitation was hours long. And so we got to see everybody.
And was this a grandfather that was married to your grandmother that you had?
Yep.
Okay. Sorry.
Yep.
That was my own personal question. Wanda and Jean.
Yes. So this was my grandpa, Jean. And right after the funeral, of course, as a kid, you don't really know how to grieve or whatever. So we had a family friend that invited me to go camping with them that weekend. And camping was not something new. We did this almost every weekend of like the summer and the fall. When I was little, we had a camper and we had several families who would camp together. And and they all had kids the same age. So we'd play together. Right. We were outdoor kids for sure.
Yeah.
They invited me camping, and my parents said yes, absolutely. Like, she needs to get away from all this. My parents were going to go on a motorcycle ride with their friends to kind of get it. I mean, we knew it was coming, so it wasn't a shock, but it was still really, really hard.
Still horrible, yeah.
And so I packed up my stuff and went to New Harmony State Park with them. So just
I used to go there all the time. Yeah, I used to go there all the time as a kid.
And I remember the night that we got there, somebody there, one of my friends, Johnny, had a brand new bike, and it was so cool. I mean, it was a big kid bike. We're in 4th grade, okay?
Right.
This was a big kid bike. It was brand new. It was sparkly. I mean, it wasn't as sparkly as mine, of course. But, shiny.
You probably had tassels on yours, on the handles or something.
And he let me ride it. And so I was like, I was feeling like a big kid riding around the playground and stuff. The next day, all the kids decide that they want to go swimming. So this would have been Saturday. And in the chaos of what was happening at home, I forgot to pack a bathing suit. Never mind that it was May in southern Indiana, so it wouldn't have been warm enough. But as a kid,
but probably
it doesn't matter if you turn blue. We're going to swim.
Yep, you're still going to swim. Water temperature doesn't matter.
So all the kids take off and they go to the pool, and I stay back. When I was thinking to myself the other day when I was thinking about this, that I used to say I would stay back with the old people. But that's so offensive now because I'm older than those old people.
Than the parents were.
Yeah. So I stayed back with the adults, the very young adults. And it wasn't long until they were like, why don't we go and see if the lifeguard will let you swim in a t-shirt and shorts? I'm sure they'll let you play. No big deal. So I said, okay. And so I hopped on my bike, and guess what? It had a flat tire. So I thought, Johnny let me ride his really cool bike last night. I'm sure he wouldn't mind today, right? Sure. nice kid, let me on his bike last night. Yeah, we'll just take kids to the pool. And so the lady I was with, her name was Jennifer. Jennifer and I start riding down the campground. And if you've ever been to New Harmony State Park, the pool is not where the campground is. Right. So there's kind of like a main-ish untraveled road in between. Right. So we leave the campground and we start going on this main road. And as a kid who's fairly fearless, I'm probably going entirely too fast. And Jennifer from behind me says, hey, can you slow down? And what I forgot to tell you about the difference between my bike and Johnny's bike was that I had never ridden a bike with handle brakes. And so I was used to the backwards pedals. Mm-hmm. And so I hear slow down. Okay. And I grab them both because I didn't know that one was front and one was back. Mm-hmm. And this motion sent me end over end all the way down to the bottom of the hill where I landed on the left side of my head right here. And I can't even imagine what Jennifer was going through in this moment. I've tried to get in that headspace and it just makes me want to throw up. So in the chaos of seeing me topple end over end and trying to stop herself, she does, but runs over me and then crashes her own bike. And so she's crawling back towards me and just screaming out, God, please help me. Like, what am I going to do? This isn't my kid. She's not responding. There's blood everywhere. And
you're on blacktop or asphalt, correct?
Yes.
This is not gravel, not dirt.
In the middle of nowhere.
Right. There's no one around.
Like, people don't just drive.
You didn't have a helmet on.
I didn't have a helmet on.
Right.
That's correct.
Right.
Yes.
Former pediatric nurse asking that question. Because every time. Because I've seen things. Yeah.
Yeah. So she starts praying. Because what else are you going to do?
Because you're not responsive.
Not at all.
And you obviously hit your head multiple times probably.
I don't.
You don't know.
I don't know. I don't remember. I remember leaving the campsite.
You don't remember the actual crash?
Nope. I remember the conversation before leaving about what I could swim in, and I remember leaving the campsite, and then it's gone. But as she's praying, a car drives up. And two people jump out, and there's a man and his wife, and the man says, he picks Jennifer up off of me and says, I'm a surgeon. Let me help her.
Whoa.
And his wife calls an ambulance, and he takes care of me, does whatever until the ambulance gets there.
Pre-cell phones too.
It is.
There's no cell phones.
They had a car phone.
Which is wild. One of the big ones
My
that you
dad
could plug
had a pager at this time. That's how they got a hold of him, which was really funny. They may have had a couple cell phones, but I mean, they would have been like the bricks.
A car or something like the big ones, or that would plug into the car. Yeah.
So they take me to the hospital. My parents beat me there because they were on a motorcycle ride, and finally my uncle got a hold of him, and they were closer to the hospital than I was, and so they beat me there, and they saw me come in, and obviously I didn't look anything like myself. After all the scans and stuff, they determined that I had crushed pretty much like this entire side of my skull, and I was bleeding on the brain. And they were going back and forth as to what to do. And my parents were there with my Uncle Jeff, which is my dad's brother, and my Aunt Lisa. And every 15 minutes for the next 24 hours, they had to wake me up to keep me from going into a coma. And before the doctors were going to go in to do surgery to stop the bleeding, they did one more scan and found that the bleeding had not only stopped, but it had reversed. And this entire time, I had essentially the entire city of Mount Carmel praying for me, because it's a small town, so words travel very fast. But I mean, all I can say is that God miraculously healed me, because they had told my parents from the get-go, she's not going to be the same kid. This could be a traumatic brain injury. This could be, we don't know how she's going to wake up. I was in intensive care unit for 7 days, and then the normal hospital for another 7. I remember 3 seconds of the ICU, and then waking up right before I left the ICU. And so, when I did wake up, there were 300 Beanie Babies around me because
Oh,
it was that time,
sure.
right?
Oh, Beanie Baby era.
Yep.
Wow.
And cards from every single one of my classmates. And I mean, it was cool to see how everybody came together and was praying. And I'm so, so thankful for everybody who prayed for me. But God answered in a very big way because, like, I don't have any residual effects. I get headaches when the weather changes, but, you know, this is the life.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Wow.
So, yeah, that's
incredible.
my miracle story. But I think the coolest part about all of that isn't even about me. It's when you go into a campground. I don't know if you know this, but you have to register whether you're staying there or if you're just like driving around. If you go into the part where we are, you have to go past that checkpoint. So they have to know you're there, know who you are, kind of like ID or whatever. And after the fact, my parents went back to the campground to try to find out who the guy was, the surgeon and his wife. And there is no record of him being there that day. And nobody remembers him being there. And so, like, my whole family is convinced, like,
it was an angel.
We believe in angels.
Yeah.
Guardian angel for sure.
Wow.
And so
there was no record of him or the wife or whoever he was with, right? Wow.
Yeah.
And do you even know, like, I don't know if the woman that was with you, do you even know what the man did? Like, was he trying to stop bleeding? Like, what did he even do? She was probably in so much.
I would imagine she was in shock.
That
maybe she knows. And I've been so hesitant to ask her side of the story because, I mean, I love her to death. And I now, especially being a mom, if I put myself in her situation, like, I could imagine the amount of guilt that she felt. And like, man, Jennifer, if you ever listen to this, please know that I have never blamed you for a single thing. Like, I was just a stupid kid on a bike.
Well, things just happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a mom,
like,
we know
nothing was ever her fault.
Things just happen. Yeah.
For sure.
Wow. Okay. I did not know that about the man, though. That's all. I mean, all of it's incredible. But,
and a lot of people would come up and say, man, like, your family, you just lost your grandpa and then you almost lost your daughter. And people trying to find meaning in, like, why does all this bad stuff happen? And like I said earlier, we have an enemy who calculates everything. And he saw an opportunity in that, you know, we had just lost a foundation of our family. And so let's kick them while they're down. And God saw that and said, but you don't know me. Like, you can try. But he used the situation to strengthen other people's belief in him because they saw what God did.
Right.
They saw his miracle. They saw him answer the prayer directly.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Wow.
In a very powerful way.
So that's one of the things that has really, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I was over here and we were just chatting. And I don't mean to cut off your story, but in general with miracles, and I'll get to why I'm saying this, but in general with any sort of miraculous or an encounter with God in any way, there's ripple effects.
Oh, yes.
It's not just the person who was healed or saved or delivered or whatever. It's all of the people around it that see it or that were involved in it or that hear about it. It touches so many lives, not just yours and your immediate family. Obviously,
I had
your
the
immediate
easy job.
Well, that wasn't quite easy.
Well,
although you were not aware. You said
if you're going to play any role in a miracle,
I guess.
Well,
that's a little tough.
So I've thought about this because, like, when I put myself in other people's shoes, I wouldn't want to be my mom. I wouldn't even want to be my aunt and uncle who have to watch, you know, their siblings go through this. I wouldn't want to be my little brother who didn't understand any of it. I don't even want to be the community members who's praying desperately for a miracle.
Right.
Like, nobody wants to be in those situations, for sure. I'm not saying that.
No, I know. I understand. That's
I just
good
had to
perspective.
live there.
But you said you were pretty much unconscious or in a coma for a week.
I was unconscious.
Wow.
I also
praise God
one
that
of the
he
memories
saved
I
you and
have-
we're here today. Like,
for sure.
I mean, for real.
Yeah, both
Sorry,
of my
I
eyes were swollen shut, and I had just gotten contacts the year before, so those had to come out on their own. I remember that moment. Yeah.
Gosh, wow. I'm sure it's funny the things that you do remember.
It is. And I mean, I was 9, so which is the age of my daughter, which is terrifying. So I remember most of it. Obviously, after leaving the campground, those things are things that people have told me because I was there, but not. But I know that God has used the situation still to this day. I mean, when I share the story with other people for sure. But it's helped strengthen my faith in Him in different ways. Because anything that God uses, quite often, the devil tries to use it for his stupid manipulation too. And so even in this, he has totally gotten my head at times. Like, God saved your life. What are you doing with it? All the and just being real. Like,
I know.
Are you living up to the miracle that he gave you? Are you why do you think he saved you? Did he just save you for you to, do nothing or to be weak, all these things? And I had to come to the terms that, sometimes just God does miracles just to show that he's in control. And I think that this situation in particular was a lot of that because, like I said, my family had just lost our grandpa and dad and, and they were kind of lost and searching and, so who's going to step up and be the leader? And then this comes and it's God's way of saying, I might not have answered that prayer, but I'm still in control and watch how I'm going to take care of you no matter what. And so I firmly believe that sometimes God just does miracles because he wants to, because he wants to remind us who he is.
Of his goodness and his power. Yeah. Oh. Wow. Yeah. Thank you for sharing it.
Of course.
I didn't know all of it. I mean, I knew that you had been in a bike wreck and that your head, obviously you had a very traumatic head injury.
I did. But it's the only bone I've ever broken.
Is it?
It's the only one I need to break.
You don't need to break anymore.
One and done.
Yeah, but thanks for sharing. I'm sure it will speak to a lot of people out there listening. And again, just sharing what God has done for you and through you. And I know you feel like you may feel like the enemy tells you you're not doing anything with your life, but look what you're doing
now. I mean, he didn't say
no, but even before, you have a family and friends who you love dearly. You are, you're raising up 2 daughters, the next generation for Christ. And now you've always been bold in the way that you speak since I've known you,
Bold-ish.
at least. Bold-ish. You're obedient when God asks you to speak something. And so, don't shut him out.
Thanks.
When he tries to speak those lies over you. And I know that you know that. But.
Yes. It's one of those head knowledge versus heart knowledge things.
For sure.
We have a lot of that.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I don't know that I don't have any crazy miracle stories. Other than I think we just said this before we were on camera, or maybe I said it on here. I don't remember when I said it, but every time a person gives their life to Jesus or is delivered of something,
or a marriage is restored.
Relationships are restored, parents and child, or whatever the case may be. Those are miracles. They're different than the physical healings that we see, or, there might not be this great outward change all at once, like you can see in other things, but those are still miracles, and heaven rejoices over those, over every single person. And I just wanted to share. So I have been reading through the book of Matthew with a couple of friends, and we just read a chapter, a day and kind of share whatever, we text back and forth. But a few weeks ago, it was several weeks ago, actually. I was reading in Matthew, and I can read a section of it. I don't want to go too crazy into this, but it's the story of the demon-possessed man who Jesus takes a boat, goes, he delivers him, and all of these demons flee into a herd of swine. And I couldn't move past this section. And sometimes God will do that. I'm reading something and it's like he just keeps bringing it up, or I try to move on to the next chapter and I just feel like he's like, nope, go back. You've missed something. Read it again. So probably 3 days in a row, I'm like, read this. And I'm like, what are you trying to like show me? Because I just felt like I couldn't move on from it. If you don't care, I'll read the account in Matthew and then I'll tell you what happened. But so this is Matthew 8. It starts in verse 28. When Jesus had come to the other side, to the country of the, I don't know how you say this, Gergesenes. I don't know. We're going to go with that. There met him two. This account actually says there were two men, but the ones in Mark and Luke say one man, but two demon-possessed men coming out of the tombs, exceedingly fierce, so that no one could pass that way. Suddenly they cried out, saying, "What have we to do with you, Jesus, you Son of God? Have you come here to torment us before the time?" So first of all, these men or man, whichever, maybe one, I've read that they think one was more dominant, so that's why the other accounts just say one man. But they are living in a graveyard, basically. They're living in a graveyard. Oh, the other accounts tell more detail, and this is what I found out later. Like I went back and read through the other accounts, but the one in Luke says he wore no clothes. He didn't live in a house, but he lived in the tombs. When he saw Jesus, he fell down before him. And one of these, they both talk about how this man had been kept under guard, bound with chains and shackles, and he would break through like the chains and the shackles, like this crazy superhuman strength. You're naked. This is naked, demon-possessed man living in the tombs. And I think it's the one in Mark says he was cutting himself. He would cut himself with a, I think it said flint or a rock. So he's harming himself. He's tortured by this demon, right? Or we find out it's demons, but so I'm going back to Matthew. A good way off from them there was a herd of many swine feeding. The demons begged him, saying, "If you cast us out, permit us to go away into the herd of swine." So Jesus said to them, "Go." When they had come out, they went into the herd of swine. Suddenly the whole herd ran violently down the steep place into the sea and perished in the water. Then those who had kept the swine fled. They went into the city and told everything, including what had happened to the demon-possessed man. And then the whole city came out to meet Jesus. But when they saw him, they begged him to depart from their region. So there's a whole lot in this story to kind of dig through. And like I said, I was just reading the account in Matthew at first. And I'm like, what am I not getting here, God? Because he wouldn't let me go past it. So then I read the account in Mark and Luke. It's the same story, but there's extra details. Like I said, like it tells you that this man is naked, that he's harming himself, that he had been bound in chains, and like the chains weren't even holding him, this crazy strength. But also what I finally realized, like God got through to me, both of the other two accounts talk about when the people came from the town, and of course they're wanting Jesus to leave, which is crazy to think of. But in Luke it says, the man from whom the demons had departed begged Jesus that he might be with him. And I think Mark, it says he's sitting at Jesus's feet whenever the people come. But Jesus sent him away, saying, "Return to your own house. Tell what great things God has done for you." And he went his way and proclaimed it throughout the whole city what great things Jesus had done. And when I read that, because the account in Matthew doesn't say those things, doesn't say what happened to him after he was freed. Jesus completely healed this man. When the people came, one of the accounts says he's clothed, he's sitting at Jesus's feet, he's in his right mind. And so they know this man. He's been living in these tombs forever. And all of a sudden he's healed.
Right.
And I can understand. I'm like, why wouldn't you let him go with you, Jesus? He clearly, I I would want to be with Jesus.
Yeah.
You just healed me from this crazy thing. I want to be with you too. I would want to be with you too. But Jesus doesn't let him. And I just had this reminder. I feel like God reminded me, and this just ties into miracles in general. Like, it is our opportunity to go and share. Like, he told the whole city, proclaiming what God has done. We don't have to go somewhere different. I think sometimes I think this, I need to go on a mission somewhere. I need to go somewhere else to talk about what God has done. No, God reminded me, you have people in your life who need to know the great things that God has done for you.
Yeah.
Like, you need to be sharing that over and over and over with the people who are already in your life, your friends, your family who don't know the Lord, because there's a dying world out there. We all know people who don't.
Oh, yes.
Who there's more than not that don't really know Jesus. And so I just want to encourage you guys. It encouraged me. Be bold in what you're sharing. It doesn't have to be anything big. Like, did God save your marriage? Share that with someone. Like, did God save a friendship? Share that with someone. Did God miraculously heal a deadly injury? Share that with as many people as you can, because it's only going to bring glory to him. And it's a way that you can fight back against the enemy. Like, he doesn't have the power to do those things.
Right.
He has nothing. So anyway, I didn't mean to go on and on about that. I just felt like I was supposed to share that because, I mean, obviously it was for me. God was trying to teach, teach me that like, it was a reminder. Don't get discouraged. Just tell the people in your life, like, what God has done for you. They need to know. But just maybe an encouragement for you guys too.
Yeah. Well, I think he's also trying to say in that, like, I didn't free you so you could just sit at my feet. I freed you so that you could bring others to me.
To have the same thing done.
Yeah. This is a team effort here.
Yeah.
I need your help.
Yep. Exactly.
I mean,
he doesn't need it, but he will use us.
us.
And those little steps of obedience, that's another thing I'm learning is I am asking and praying for boldness and all these things. Well, am I being obedient when he prompts me to do something that's out of my comfort zone?
Yes.
Like, pray for someone that I don't know or do know,
right.
like, on the spot. Am I doing it? Because that's happened to me more than once and I've not done it. And I regret it. I think about it over and over. Why didn't I just do it? I know he was asking me. So
faith and boldness are like a muscle. And I don't know if you've ever been to the gym.
Not very much lately.
Sometimes it's painful to work out.
Yeah.
And you can build it.
But you build
over
it
time.
And it gets...
But man, if you take 2 or 3 weeks off from the gym and you go back, those muscles atrophy so quickly. Your faith can do the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you sit on your hands and don't actively serve him for an even short period of time, you'll find those tough times are a little harder.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
So let's get our muscles going. I need to in the physical, I'm trying, but also
we'll get there
spiritually. Yeah. It all ties together, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Before we go today, I do want to tell our audience about 2 college age kids who are doing something bold. They are both in college currently, and they are in Fort Branch, and they have started a college age ministry for the summer. And I reached out to one of the girls and I was like, hey, we're recording this and I want to share about it. So their ministry starts on June 11th. It'll be every Wednesday for 10 weeks. So if you're home for the summer, or if you have a college age kid home for the summer, or if you're just in that young adult age, it's ages 17 to 24. They're going to meet every Wednesday night. I think it said 6:30, but I will definitely put that link into how to get a hold of them in our description. But they're going to have a different speaker each week and a worship set and food provided.
Awesome. So
go get your belly fed and your heart fed and make some friends for 10 weeks during the summer, ages 17 to 24. And that will be in Fort Branch. Like I said, I'll put that information in our description, but I just wanted to promote that because, man, what young adult doesn't need that? What adult doesn't need that?
Right. We all do. But and how
really cool.
Like bold and awesome of I mean, I was not even thinking about that in college, but to do that and step out and do it. Like,
I thought it was really cool.
These are the things that we can do right where we are with what we have. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
For sure.
Thanks for sharing that.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm happy I wish I could go, but unfortunately 25. So, you know.
Well, maybe we should start a 25-year-old club.
We are. It's the Shieldmaidens.
Okay. I'm in my own age bracket over here.
Anyway, so thanks for joining into our club.
Yes.
We're glad
welcome
you're here,
in our club.
even if you're above 24 like us.
Just barely.
Right.
Just barely.
But before you go, please make sure, like we said earlier, we really want you to like this video, comment on it, tell us what you think. Any hard topics you think that we should touch on, or I don't know, just any questions you might have about it all. We would love to pray for you.
We would love to pray for you. If you need a miracle, put it in the comments. We will pray for you. If you have a miracle experience or encounter, put it in the comments. It will encourage other people to read it.
I was going to say, it could encourage somebody else who might be in that same situation, whatever. You just never know.
I literally just saw a post on Instagram. Someone had it was this crazy little video, but she said, post your miracle stories in the comments. And there were like 4,000 comments and there were crazy things in there, but it was awesome. Yeah, I'll have to find it. So
cool.
Just encourage each other with it.
And one more task before you go. Hit the subscribe button.
Yes, please.
Ring the notification bell.
Yes, please.
Because we post a video every Tuesday and you're not going to want to miss what is coming up next.
Yeah, we have some good things coming. We really do.
Yes. So until next time, grab a shield. We'll see you out there.
See you guys.